This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Reaching into space, there's no limit to our sky. Standing guard both night and day. We're the Space Force from on high.
That is the Space Force hymn.
I don't think I ever heard that.
I was waiting around to hear that. I wanted to hear that one.
That was a good one.
That's the first time I've heard it.
Yeah,
You've heard the Marine hymn? This is the Space Force hymn.
Yeah. I love it. And joining us now is one of the heads there of Space Force. He was there for a long time and an accomplished, obviously, former Assistant Deputy Undersecretary of the Air Force. And
no,
also
he was,
there.
A Brigadier General.
Brigadier General John Dragon Teichert. First of all, explain what it means now, too, with everything going on with all the drones, you think, General Teichert, because we just had a guy on earlier, one of the mayors, who had a lot of really important information about what's going over in New Jersey. What do you think is going on in the skies? You're an expert.
John and Rita, I appreciate that. And like you said, we are celebrating the 5th birthday today of the United States Space Force. Thanks for playing that hymn. Their motto is Semper Supra, which means always above. Now, clearly there are some other things that are above us these days, and we're not quite sure what's going on with the drones.
They're not so supra.
No, well, they are above those drones for sure, and they're helping pinpoint where these things are coming from and where they're going to. But it continues to be embarrassing. It's a textbook example of bad leadership, where a leader or a government loses the trust of its people when they don't communicate or demonstrate competence or credibility. And that's what's been going on for the last 2 weeks. And the result is that now not only do we not know what is going on that should be a concern of national security, but there's a lot of other activity up there as well because people are in a frenzy because the government is not doing their job.
So what do you think it is, General Teichert, as someone who's sort of an expert? We've heard these things that it could even be, our guys up there that are looking for something, nuclear material even, or, something. There's a lot of stuff going around. What do you think it could be? What's sort of your inclination?
Right now, because of all the frenzy and panic, the majority of things that people are seeing up there are just normal air traffic activity. But I don't think that the root of the concern issue here are friendly systems, because when you have a classified operation, you have extensive pre-planned public affairs guidance where you would roll out a description of what's going on. And right now, because of the bumbling response of the federal government, there's no way that this was pre-planned or thought of. I do think that some of the original concern are potentially foreign actors that are probing our defenses, especially around important national security sites. But because the federal government has been so incompetent, we can't say that for sure. And that's why there's all these other theories going on and all this concern about other normal air traffic that's in the mix.
You said originally, like probing. What do you mean by that? Like we've heard, China thrown out there. We've heard Iran thrown out there. What are you hearing, or what could be, at least even in that initial phase?
I think that they would love to see how we respond to masses of aerial activity, drones or otherwise. And the fact that we have been so incompetent in the last 2 weeks actually makes it more likely that they are enticed to do something actively against the United States, because they've already seen our incapability in responding to these simple drone probing activities, that if it was a full-scale attack, I am concerned that the federal government under President Biden would not be able to properly respond.
Yeah, there's just this story out there that came out about him being really sort of MIA and out of it. And I think you hit it on the head, General Teichert, that there's this feeling of like nobody's in command. Ed Cox, your thoughts?
I was wondering, speaking about people in command, Elon Musk just put up his 7,000th launch of satellites. He owns 2/3 of all satellites out in space. What's that impact? How's that impact our defense posture, the fact that they're privately owned?
Ed, that is so beneficial to us because right now NASA is struggling. Boeing is struggling. That if we didn't have an entrepreneur that is pushing the envelope and succeeding like Elon Musk, then we wouldn't be able to get our systems up there that the Space Force uses to defend our assets and put the adversary's assets at risk. And frankly, we should look at ourselves in the mirror and be very fortunate that we have someone like Elon Musk instead of the old archaic systems that we've used up to this point that are now just falling apart.
It must be very tough to destroy 7,000 satellites up there if, in fact, that are being used for communications that can be used by our armed forces being used by Ukrainian forces now for communications. And how would the Chinese be able to destroy all of those?
Ed, it's a huge benefit. It used to be our architecture in space that we had a few big, expensive systems and we relied on those. But those big, expensive systems are big, juicy targets. And now because we have a resilience in redundancy, it has given us an ability to have an assured access and capability in space that those few big, juicy, expensive targets wouldn't allow us with a determined adversary in the mix like China.
Now, I understand the Chinese are coming out with a similar system that Musk has, and they're going to be putting out thousands and thousands of satellites out there, too.
So that's going to be something that the Space Force has to deal with, that the biggest responsibility or mission set for the Space Force is to maintain space superiority, which means that we can use space for friendly purposes without risk because we can defend ourselves and we can put an adversary at risk. Well, if the Chinese or others have 7,000 satellites, then now it makes it more difficult for us to have to deal with those in space superiority. But right now we do have a head start because of Musk and others, and the Space Force is doing a great job at maintaining space superiority now that they are 5 years old, and they're going to keep doing it for the next 5 years and beyond.
That sounds great.
Great. Well, General Teichert, thank you so much for giving us some important background here. You're always terrific. And if we don't talk with you, have a great Christmas.
Now, you guys have a happy holiday and a Merry Christmas, and I love being on your show. Thank you.
Thank you.